Happy New Year, everyone. I just wanted to come out here and offer out my support and make sure that you all feel like you're not alone, because I understand that these are really challenging times right now, and they're probably about to get a little bit more challenging in some aspects in some countries, as the UK, because of tonight's announcement. And I just want to make sure that you all feel supported and that I am sharing all of my positive energy with you. It's so easy right now to fall into the victimization role, and as much as I know that a lot of people are suffering and a lot of people are struggling, becoming a victim is not going to help you. It is not going to help you move forward. And to get ourselves out of victimization, we need to take responsibility for what is within our control. What is within our control right now is the goals and the intentions that we are setting for ourselves. The goals for our year ahead. Now, a lot of us always have New Year's resolutions which never quite work out. This is your year to start focusing on your resolutions, on the things that you want to improve in your life. So many of us get so stuck up rereading the last chapters, the earlier historical chapters of our lives. But time is moving on, and we are in the middle of writing this new chapter of our lives. And if we become so distracted by the old chapters, those that have happened in our past, and keep rereading them, then we're not going to get very far, and time is going to fly by, and this current chapter that we are in the middle of writing won't have our attention and will happen unconsciously. So what we want to do is bring this consciousness to this current chapter that's being written ahead for us, so that it doesn't fly past us. So how can we do that? Focus on your goals and intentions for this year ahead. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with setting New Year's resolutions, and more likely than not, probably give up halfway through the year, if that. So what I want to help you address in this video is, how do we make that into a productive goal? Or how do we make those into productive goals for this year so that we can actually start achieving them? And especially this year where we might have more time on our hands and more focus on ourselves. And more reflection time on what we want to achieve. So the main mistake, from what I believe, is that what a lot of us make is we focus on the end goal, the result of the end goal. So say, for example, you say, I want to make X amount of money by the end of this year, or I want to lose X amount of weight by the end of this year. So what we end up focusing on is the end result that we want to achieve, instead of the growth process that we need to get there. So if we're constantly focusing on the end result, then anything within that process will count more likely than not as a failure. Because if we don't achieve it when we think that we should, we might think of it as a failure. But if we think of the growth process instead, as a step-by-step. So, and what is growth? Growth is learning. Growth is achieving the little things, making smaller goals for yourself. And as long as you're focused on that process, on the growth rather than the goal itself, then you're more likely to succeed and achieve what you're seeking. Okay? So that's one really important step. Rather than focusing on your end goal or your end result, focus on what the growth is. What does your growth process look like on a day-to-day basis? And it should be something that you can do, you can apply right now. A small thing. Is it a phone call you need to make? Is it something that you need to start strategizing? It's a small thing that you can do from right now. Because sometimes when we look at the end result, we think that it's something so far from being achieved. But if we break it down into small incremental steps, then it feels a bit more manageable. And that's all part of the growth and the learning. And as long as we keep learning, we're on that growth process towards our goal. Okay? The other thing is we tend to say yes instead of no to the things that are not our priorities, so are not in line with our goals that we're seeking to achieve. And what does that mean? That means that we end up being very distracted. We end up getting off track from our focus. So pay attention to where you're focusing your attention on. Are you prioritizing the right things? Or are you saying yes to the wrong things? Okay? So those are the two very important things. One is focus on the growth instead of the end goal. And two is be aware of what you're saying yes to. Have you got your priorities in line with your goal? And are you taking action every day to achieve that? Now remember, I was talking about focusing in on this new chapter that we're writing for ourselves. We're not looking back anymore. We're in the middle of writing this current chapter, this hopefully exciting chapter, because there will be so much growth, and we're working towards our goals now and actually achieving them. So looking back at those old chapters are not going to serve you for much longer. Sometimes we need to look back to remind ourselves of what happened so that we can learn from it to move on, and learn from it to use it in the present and moving forward. But looking back for too long won't help us write our chapter today. So please bear that in mind. And this is actually one important thing that I often talk about is this is what makes coaching so important, because it's about moving forward and looking at the chapter that we're writing right now so that we become more present and conscious within that process that we're living through right now, so that we don't end up wasting these years and then looking back and when we were stuck in the past and rereading those old chapters, which are no longer serving us. We're not living in the past anymore. We're living in the present now. And looking back at the old chapters are helpful, but to a certain extent, but not for too long. Focus on the now and focus on the moving forward. And if you need a hand with that, coaching is what will help you with that. So please reach out if that's what you need right now. Okay? Sending you so much love for this new chapter ahead for you and this new journey that you're heading on. Please reach out if you need anything. Take care, everyone.